This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
All right, it is Wednesday, December 11th, 40 days and 40 nights left in the Joe Biden administration. He is stumbling, staggering to the finish line. And every day feels like there's more reason to be joyful. Not joyful like the left, not joyful like Taylor Lorenz, who's joyful because a 50-year-old father of two was assassinated on the streets of New York. And you know what? When we heard from Taylor Lorenz, I thought she was an outlier, just a lunatic. We know she's unstable. She's insane. And when she went on with Piers Morgan and said she felt joy at the murder of the CEO of United Healthcare, said she's just a nut. You know what? It's not just her. This is sick, what we're seeing right now across the country, what we're seeing in the mainstream media. They're happy because a CEO was murdered, because they're not they think, healthcare companies are evil and we should have universal healthcare. We should have single payer healthcare. Then everyone would be happy. Everyone would get the healthcare, get the insurance they deserve. It's getting even crazier out there. They have tourists who are showing up on the sidewalk in Manhattan to see the murder scene. They had a GoFundMe to raise money. It was shut down after it reached about $20,000 to raise money for Luigi Mangione, a child of privilege, the ultimate child of privilege, the grandson of a wealthy real estate mogul in Baltimore, a kid who went to the most exclusive private school in Baltimore and was valedictorian. You know who else was valedictorian? I had to look this up because I hadn't heard it. No one mentioned it on CNN or NBC. Brian Thompson was valedictorian of his class in Jewell, Iowa, a small town, a farming community. Brian Thompson grew up on a farm. His father was a grain elevator operator. He went to public high school and then went to the University of Iowa. He started as an accountant and worked his ass off for 25 years, worked his way up in the largest healthcare company in the country and became CEO. He had a wife. He had two sons. One of them just graduated from high school. One of them is still in high school. They're 19 and 16. You know what that means? They're online. They're on social media. And they're seeing these sickos everywhere celebrating the murder of their father, who I assume they admired. He was a hardworking guy. He earned a lot of money. He lived in a $1.5 million house, which is probably a nice house in Minnesota. But that guy was gunned down on the street, shot in the back by this sicko. And lots of people are out there saying he got what he deserved. How do we get to this point where a guy's dead on the street because he's a healthcare executive? And one guy, Luigi Mangione, this punk, this sick, twisted, demented individual who admired the Unabomber, who murdered lots of people years ago, who is mad at the system. So his answer was, let me get a gun. Let me make a gun, a 3D gun with a silencer, shoot him dead. He gets caught, good. He's going to spend the next 50, 60 years in prison where he belongs. And there are people online begging Biden or Kathy Hochul to pardon him, saluting him, celebrating him. And I'm not just talking about the random nutcase on TikTok. I'm talking about the audience for Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart mentioned on his show the other night that they caught him. They caught Mangione in Pennsylvania. The crowd cheered. I mean, booed. They didn't cheer. They booed that they caught him. Jimmy Kimmel went on his show last night and talked about how his staff admired, his staff was was drooling over the hunk, Luigi Mangione, a murderer, a guy who murdered a man in cold blood. Again, this punk, the ultimate example of white privilege, this little rich kid who had every opportunity in the world to make something of himself, like Brian Thompson did. But no, he was a drifter. He went out, lived in Hawaii for a while, went surfing, just kind of roamed the earth like Kane and Kung Fu, and lived off his family money. That guy is now a hero to some of these nuts on the left, and it's sickening. I'm sorry. Maybe I have this inclination to think about the victims. The women on the subway who were threatened by Jordan Neely. I think of them. You don't hear much about them from Ayanna Pressley or Jamal Bowman or the host on CNN. No, they don't care about victims. They care about the perpetrators, about the criminals, like Luigi Mangione and his abs. Here's Jimmy Kimmel doing his the idea that they're even joking at this point about how hunky and handsome a murderer is tells you a lot about these people. They're just demented. Watch this.
Let's see. Lorraine C. asks, do you guys think the United Healthcare CEO killer is hot? Friend replies, yes. I love Luigi. I think he's gay, though. This is an exchange between two of our producers. We'll call them Elphaba and Glinda. My TikTok is flooded. My mom chain's going nuts. That's my TikTok. Everyone is obsessed. People are saying a New York jury has the power to find him innocent because we all love him. I'm not mad at him. This one's from Susie D.
Yeah, honest to God, talking about how handsome he is and hoping he gets acquitted because why? Because he. Oh, they're insane. CNN, they did a segment on how handsome Mangione is, and the host, I think it's Casey Hunt, she requests that her producer remove the banner so she could see his abs. This is days after the guy was after Thompson was gunned down by this evil, sick psychopath. And they're on CNN ogling over his abs. He's just such a hunk. To quote J.D. Vance once again, do you hear yourself? Watch this.
The clips we were watching at the top of this segment are driven by the fact that this is an attractive.
We got to drop the banner to show why.
And it is deeply troubling that we are celebrating this.
Drop the banner so I could see his abs. Ooh, there they are. Man, we have lost our way. These people, they're not. they can't hear themselves. Talk about a guy, a murderer, a sicko, who was taken from the jail to the courthouse, threw a little tantrum. By the way, when he yelled out to the media, it made no sense. He makes no sense. He doesn't. He doesn't make a good case for why he gunned down Brian Thompson. I guess we should be glad that he didn't continue to do this, because initially we thought, he's a really smart guy, has a master's and a bachelor's from University of Pennsylvania, and maybe he was plotting and planning to kill other healthcare executives, and then Taylor Lorenz and and Casey Hunt, they'll be just giddy if he kills some more evil healthcare executives, and maybe they can get some more shots of him shirtless hiking in the mountains, and they can really swoon over this scumbag. Just incredible. And you know what people aren't talking about, which I think is important. We mentioned this yesterday. Who did this to him? Who radicalized him? How did a little rich kid who, by all accounts, had a very privileged upbringing and was on his way to making something of himself, how did he just lose his way and become a killer?
College.
And exactly right. The Ivy League. That's where this happened. He learned that the U.S., that America is evil and capitalism is bad and healthcare executives must be killed. I'm convinced that he didn't learn this at that private high school, all boys school in Baltimore. He learned this at the University of Pennsylvania. And I'm not sure anyone's going to do the deep dive and see exactly who got inside his head and convinced him that his country is evil. But I have an inkling. There are professors, Marxists, anarchists who are teaching kids, who are indoctrinating kids in schools, elite schools. We've seen it at Columbia and Harvard. We've seen them radicalize the pro-Hamas crowds at these schools. It's still going on, by the way. They're still harassing Jewish kids at these schools, which cost, $70,000, $80,000 a year. Well, University of Pennsylvania, here's a professor at the school that this dirtbag attended, celebrating, a professor on the payroll at a school, by the way, that received about $800 million in federal funding, your money, last year alone, 1 year, almost $1 billion from the taxpayers. Here's a professor who looks, if you're just listening, looks exactly like you'd expect. Of course, glasses, messy hair, blue hair, awful. An affluent white female liberal. That's who is teaching future leaders in this country. This is who taught, who brainwashed, I believe, Luigi Mangione. Watch her post on TikTok her reaction to the murder of a 50-year-old father of two teenage boys. Go ahead. That's a professor, an award-winning professor. Her name is Julia Alexeyeva. She posted on Twitter a couple of notable tweets while teaching students at the University of Pennsylvania, an elite school. I'm going to guess she makes what, $200,000? She was tweeting about Antifa. She writes, people who are against Antifa, I can't even. The description's in the name. Anti-fascist means anti-bad guy. It's like siding with the bedbug over the exterminator. So she was celebrating Antifa during the riots. And there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. She celebrates anarchists, people who are trying to destroy this country from within, a professor at an elite Ivy League school. And we wonder why a person like Luigi Mangione graduates and hates this country that gave him every advantage in the world. We wonder what went wrong. That's what went wrong right there. Julia Alexeyeva. How do they hire someone like this? How do we allow someone like this in the classroom? And how is she still employed after posting that? If you're just listening, she's waving her finger and smiling because one of her former students gunned down an innocent man, a hardworking man who worked his way up from accountant with a degree from the University of Iowa and became a CEO of the largest healthcare company in America. And by the way, all these people, are they going to ever show me evidence of the evil things that Brian Thompson did? What did he do to you? We're going to find out that this punk, he hurt his back. He had a back injury. He had back surgery. And maybe, I'm going to guess, the insurance company didn't cover it 100%. A guy whose family's worth millions, a trust fund punk, didn't get the coverage he felt he deserved. And his response was, let me shoot the CEO. And we're today we're gonna say, he had it coming. That's the reaction from these clowns in the media, Jimmy Kimmel and Tim Miller, who's a bulwark guy who's on MSNBC all the time. He's a prominent left winger, and he was swooning over the hunk, Luigi Mangione, talking about how handsome he is and how he's attracted to him. These people, this is just sick. I'm sorry, I can't help but think of his teenage boys. Hopefully, they're not on social media watching professors, college, Ivy League professors celebrate the murder, the cold-blooded, cowardly murder. Luigi Mangione shot Brian Thompson in the back, killed him on the streets of New York. And we're supposed to think Brian Thompson had it coming. Brian Thompson made something of himself. He paid taxes. They in his community, they adored him. They said he was a terrific guy, a good neighbor, a good father. And he gets murdered. And we get him. We get the guy. He's going to and people are pissed. They're threatening the McDonald's because a worker at the McDonald's saw him, called 911, and these people are online threatening the guy who called the cops, said, I think this is the guy, and they got him before he could kill again. And these people, these prominent people, professors, media people, they're disappointed. Damn, we were hoping he'd be like Kaczynski. He'd be on the run for 17 years. Well, it's not going to happen. And you know what? I hope the guys in Rikers or wherever he ends up, I hope they're as attracted to Mangione as Jimmy Kimmel's staff or Tim Miller is. All right, we got much to get to. We got to get to the other outrage of the day, or the outrage of the year, of Daniel Penny speaks. Daniel Penny sat down with Judge Janine and gave an interview. And if you haven't seen it, there's only a couple of excerpts that have been released. I think it's coming out today in its entirety. You watch this, and it's just so infuriating. The thought, the idea that an elected official, Alvin Bragg, and his staff wanted to put this humble man, this humble hero, in prison for protecting vulnerable people. It's beyond deranged what they try to do to this man. He's free for now. He's still facing a civil suit from Jordan Neely's scummy, slimy family. But thank God he's free. But you think of how close they were to putting him in prison for what he did. And there are a lot of outraged people. My Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley, she's not happy. AOC, they're not happy. A man who selflessly defended black people, white people, he didn't care. Kids, old ladies, defended them, protected them from a maniac whose history showed that he liked hurting people, vulnerable people. A guy who punched a 67-year-old woman in the face and broke her orbital bone. I would call that a threat to the women on that train. And Daniel Penny protected them, and they wanted him in prison. We'll hear from Daniel Penny, and we will hear from Caitlin Clark, perhaps the saddest story of the day. Yes, the great Caitlin Clark bows, bends the knee to the mob. Oh, and we're going to talk to a whistleblower, a guy who ran a migrant shelter in Massachusetts, who's going to tell you what's really going on in these places. You don't hear much of this. I don't read this in the Boston Globe, but you will hear about it today. We'll get to that and more. But first,
Excuse me.
all right, small business owners, listen up. If you're tired of losing money to credit card processing fees, we've got something you need to hear. With 24/7 payments, you can eliminate up to 99% of those fees thanks to their fee elimination program. Here's how it works. You pass the processing fees on to customers who pay with credit cards, and in return, you can offer them a discount for paying with cash or debit. It's a simple, effective, and fully compliant way to save thousands every month. Right now, 24/7 Payments is switching over 250 businesses every month to this program, and they can have you set up in less than 24 hours. Call 855-504-0799 today or visit them on the web at 247payments.com. That's the numbers 247payments.com. Are your loved ones aging? Has walking become difficult for your parents, your grandparents? It's tough. I've been there. I know lots of you have been there too. Stairs can often be a challenge for them. It's also a significant risk of falling. Well, Lifeway Mobility, one of the largest providers of accessibility solutions, offers stair lifts, wheelchair ramps, home elevators, transfer aids, and bath safety solutions to improve safety, independence, and quality of life at home. Most of their solutions are made in the USA, and they provide professional installation and service. Gain peace of mind and help loved ones stay safe at home. Schedule a free consultation when you call Lifeway Mobility at 888-780-7923. They have locations across the U.S. with showrooms for you to see and test their products. They're also rated the best stair lift company by the National Council on Aging and by U.S. News, and they have over 6,000 five-star reviews. Call 888-780-7923 or visit lifewaymobility.com for your free consultation. That's 888-780-7923. All right, let's do this before we get to Daniel Penny, the hero, the subway hero, who is speaking. And it is more infuriating than ever that they tried to put this great man in prison. Hopefully, he lives happily ever after somewhere other than New York City. But John Featherston was director of operations at a migrant shelter in Massachusetts, which is a sanctuary state full of sanctuary cities. It's a magnet for the worst of the worst. Almost daily, we hear about illegal alien criminals getting scooped up by ICE. It's probably where Tom Homan's going to start. It should be where Tom Homan's going to start on January 20th, because the state is overrun by illegal alien criminals, and no one knows better what's going on than John Featherston. Is John with us? There he is.
Hey, good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. Good
First
morning,
time,
John.
long time, right?
I called you a whistleblower. Would you consider yourself a whistleblower?
You know, Jerry, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I think you know that I'm a man of truth and honesty and public service. So I don't see myself as a whistleblower. I see myself as a concerned citizen. And I am truly, and we can talk about it, why I am concerned about every woman and child in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts because of what Maura Healey is doing right now. So I'm not a whistleblower. I'm just a guy who cares about people.
Tell me what your job was when you were involved with these migrant shelters.
Well, it was a three-ring circus every day, Jerry, because Governor Healey did not have a plan for the shelter system. Joe Biden and Maura Healey invited everybody to come to America, and more importantly, come to the only state in the country that has the right to shelter law. So there was no plan. It was crisis management 101. So from day one, you have a family show up. And I have to seriously go on the record here, Jerry, that 99% of the people I work with, good people, just coming to America, trying to make a better life for their family. And who wouldn't sign up for everything for free as an opportunity to do that? But we would sign them up, get them housing, get them food, get the kids enrolled in school, do social services for them, eventually then get them signed up for mass health, EBT cards, which is the politically correct word in Massachusetts for welfare system. We get them Social Security. We would sign them up with an asylum lawyer. We can talk a little bit about that and the hypocrisy of all that, and try to establish, a semi, productive life for the migrants that were invited by Maura Healey to come here. She had no plan for staffing. She has no plan for an exit strategy. And more importantly, Jerry, and because you live in the New England area, there's no housing in New England. There's no housing for, my 2 in the mid-20 children that they can afford without having 3 or 4 roommates. How is a migrant family going to come to Massachusetts and at best make minimum wage, afford a $2,000 a month apartment? And if you're a landlord, you're going to rent to them? No.
Did you know, or did you think they were vetted? I mean, did you know who the criminals were, who the bad guys were when you were putting them up in the hotels?
When Maura Healey says everybody is vetted, she's lying to the public. I can tell you, instances, and I won't give out specific names, but, just so we can keep track here. Say I get a call from the state or an email from the state saying, Gerry Callahan's going to come to the shelter tonight and he's got a family of 4. Well, 5 o'clock, a family shows up in a taxpayer-funded Uber, and they come in, nice family. Hey, welcome. Who are you? Oh, well, I'm Ironhead. What? You're supposed to be Gerry Callahan. So let me call the state and find out what's going on. So you get somebody on the phone from the state, if you're lucky, and say, hey, listen, Gerry Callahan's not here. It's Ironhead. What do I do? Oh, just check him in. Well, should I hold something for, Gerry Callahan? No, don't worry about it. Well, what do you mean don't worry about it? Where's Gerry Callahan? We don't know. Don't worry about it. Just check him in. So then Ironhead comes in and gives me his ID. His name's not Ironhead. It's, Joe Smith. And you're like, wait a minute. Oh, hold on. Let me get you another ID. And then find me another ID. Not everyone. And I'm talking the extremes here. Not everyone, but multiple ones had multiple IDs. And because you were working with a lot of Haitian people, a Ronald Joseph could be Joseph Ronald in mail. And what do you get in the mail? You get all your government benefits. So I saw a lot of double dipping just right there, because you would, flip a name or flip an A for an E. So there was a lot of corruption in the system. And you see all the articles about the EBT waste in Massachusetts. Well, just do the math. It was always bad. Don't get me wrong. It was always bad. But it's 3 times as bad now because you brought thousands of people here that are probably double dipping in the system.
I want to,
Jerry.
I want to get to some specifics here. I think I remember the number was $64 a day for food for
68.
each migrant. So a family of 4 would get $240 whatever dollars a day. Is that right?
Well, they wouldn't get Well, let's break it down, because I hope your audience has a calculator. So we would provide 3 meals a day for them, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, via hotel catering services, which the hotel would then bill back the Commonwealth on for $68 per person per day. So if you have 500 people in your shelter, do a quick calculation, 500 times 68. So you're spending $35,000 a day just to feed, the migrants here. But here's the problem, Jerry. They didn't like the food.
Oh, good.
So taxpayer money is funding a multi-million-dollar food operation that they don't care for. And we can talk all day long, I had many conversations with them over the months. Like, guys, you're not in Haiti anymore. I'm sorry you don't like the food, but, if you don't like the food, you've got EBT benefits of a couple grand a month. Go to the ATM machine in the lobby and call DoorDash. They deliver. And that's what would happen. So the food would get wasted. And that's bad enough that it would get wasted. But it would sit in the hotel rooms. And what does food left out on a counter do in a hotel? It attracts rodents, it attracts bugs, it attracts cockroaches, fruit flies. So everything just compounds. And it's not all the math. It's all the down the stream problems that the math causes. Governor Healey tells you that it's $1 billion a year. I'm telling you, it's $2 billion a year.
Jesus.
And more importantly, and Jerry, I know you've had family members in education. What is the price tag of a good teacher in a school system? It's invaluable, right? You can't put a price tag on it. If your kid is lucky enough to have a good teacher that has the time to spend with your struggling child, like, hey, full disclosure, I was a struggling child in school. I needed a little extra help. Those kids aren't getting a little extra help now because you have a migrant crisis going on. But more importantly, you've got a stressed out teacher who just says, you know what? I've worked in the school system for 15, 20 years. I liked my job 2 years ago. I hate my job now. I'm going to go work in another school system where we don't have migrant shelters because I don't need this BS. And the same could be said about a police officer. Police officers like, do I have to go to the migrant shelter again today and get pushed and spit on? And do I have to tell people you can't drink in your car? I don't need this stuff. I'm just going to retire. So you lose a command force type police officer, and you can't put a price tag on those things. And then we haven't even talked about the real reason I'm here, the crimes.
Yeah, let's talk about the crimes. Specifically, I want to get into one because it blew my mind. It still blows my mind that there was a guy, a migrant, an illegal alien, who raped his own daughter, and allegedly, and was not.
Well, I was in the room, and the story he tells, it wasn't allegedly, Jerry.
Okay, he raped his own daughter. And tell us what the Commonwealth did to this monster when they found out.
Well, they didn't do anything other than get kind of frustrated with me when I questioned them to like, you want me to do what? You want me to transfer him to another shelter tonight? Why isn't he being arrested? Oh, we'll figure all that out. Don't worry about it. Let's just transfer him. And I've been involved in local government most of my adult life. I literally looked at the police officer and said, we're in Middlesex County. If I transfer this guy to the shelter that you want me to transfer to in Worcester, that's a different district. That's a different district attorney. And the police officer's like, why are you worried about that? I'm like, because no DA is going to prosecute this if the crime didn't happen in his community. So now we have just moved this guy over the line. I mean, we could have moved him to another country for the lack of better terms. And they're like, yeah, we'll figure it all out. And I literally said to the police, the guy just admitted to me that he rapes his daughter. We're going to put him in a shelter? You think he's just going to stop raping people? I mean, this is outrageous.
So hold on right here,
Yep.
John. He's still in a migrant shelter. He's not been arrested. He's not in prison.
This was a couple months ago, but I can personally tell you I saw him at a car wash over the summer after this happened. And
can you tell me what? Just
and
your
according
theory.
to ICE, there's no retainer on him either. They don't know where he is.
What's your theory? Why? Why is a guy who raped his own daughter? Why was he transferred to a different shelter? Why is he still free? Why? Why is he not arrested? I mean, I understand that Democrats want to import future voters. There's some people that think this is compassionate, but there's no compassion when you let a guy, a rapist, a monster like this, not only go free, but I assume he's still getting all the benefits that come with being an illegal alien in Massachusetts.
Well, you bring up a very good point. The reason why they did it the way they did is, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, but it's a pretty educated opinion. You didn't want the optic of this. And you just look at the response to now that this story is coming out, and thank you for the opportunity to come here to tell the story today. Local media is not touching this. And you just have to say to yourself, why is the local Boston, Massachusetts media not talking about this? Are they under orders not to touch this? Because only national people like yourself are talking about this. So she doesn't want the optic because she doesn't know what to do. She didn't know, she didn't have a plan.
So this good liberal woman doesn't want
about
the
that,
optic of an illegal alien arrested for raping his own daughter. Can you tell me how old the girl is?
The specific girl that we're talking about here was 13. She's now 14 now.
So a 14-year-old, and she's still in the shelter, I assume, in the hotel.
No, DCF removed her from the shelter and put her into another facility.
For her own protection.
But Jerry, you're kind of burying the lead. Not only was he raping her, she's pregnant.
She's pregnant.
Correct.
And he's free.
To the best of my knowledge, yes. And I've talked to other reporters who have told me they certainly don't call me, but ISIS said that they don't know where this guy is.
Unbelievable. It's incredible.
And it's not the only incident, Jerry. There's multiple instances there.
Right. We talked a lot about the guy in Rockland who raped a 15-year-old disabled girl. I believe he was arrested, though, correct?
He was arrested and then let out on bond. I mean, are you thoroughly convinced that he's going to be held accountable? Because I think he's just going to sneak away. Like so many other people have just snuck away.
And I guess the big question is, what happens on January 20th? What happens when Tom Homan's people come into the Commonwealth and start doing their job, removing these people, these dangers to the community, or attempting to remove them? What is Maura Healey and these other elected Democrats whose whole mission in life is protecting these terrible people? What's going to happen?
Well, Jerry, my hope is that Santa Claus brings them some common sense for Christmas, because right after Christmas, this thing is going to start rearing its ugly head, and it's going to be chaos, Jerry, because if Maura Healey and Mayor Wu really do stick to their posturing, as I call it right now, and say that they're not going to participate, Homan's still going to come in and do his job.
Right.
And I don't care if you are the wackiest liberal Democrat, living in Cambridge or living in Boston, and you're entitled to your political beliefs. Nobody wants a rapist living in their neighborhood that could potentially rape their child, potentially rape their grandkids, a loved one. I literally had people from the school call me and should we be worried about this? Yeah, you should be worried about this. Well, what should we do? And I'm like, call the police. If he's there picking up his kid, get a restraining order. Don't let him out on your property. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Helping the migrants is a very controversial subject. We can all agree on that. It's a very controversial subject. But I go back to what I'm saying. Most of the migrants are good people, and they just came here because they were invited and told everything was free. Who wouldn't come for that? But the small percentage of people that are the horrible people, like what we're talking about here today, do you think they just picked up a life of crime or no morals or no ethics once they got into Massachusetts? No, they've been like this for a long time. So there are tons of criminals walking the street. And Maura Healey goes on MSNBC and says, I'm going to do everything in my powers to protect these people.
It's insane. It's just insane. I mean, and here's the biggest problem, John. People voted for this. They voted for more of this. They knew on November 5th, they knew that one side wanted to continue this, to continue the invasion of the southern border, continue all these benefits, continue putting them up in hotels. And in Massachusetts, they voted overwhelmingly to continue this. I hate to say it, but you get what you vote for. And this is what people in Massachusetts voted for.
And Jerry, I have reached out. I think I've told the story, but I'll tell it again. I had the opportunity to go to the Army-Navy game last year when I was at Gillette Stadium, and I was covering it, because we actually did a small documentary on the Army-Navy game. I'm a big history buff and a big, supporter of the military. And I turn around, I'm in the Navy end zone, and Maura Healey goes, "Hi, John." And I was like, "Oh, Governor, I got to talk to you. Like, can I talk to you?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm really struggling in the migrant shelter, and, I really want to get together and set up a task force and, try to come up with a, proactive plan to get ahead of these problems." And keep in mind, this is a couple of months before any of these, heinous crimes were committed. This was just like, I couldn't handle the paperwork. I couldn't handle the staffing. I couldn't handle just the day-to-day operations. "Oh, call my office on Monday. We'll talk, John. We'll talk." Okay. Monday morning, naive, Boy Scout John Featherston calls the governor's office. "Oh, can I, the governor told me to call, can I leave a message?" "Yep." Wednesday comes around, I call again. The following Monday, I call again. Because I'm connected, politically in Massachusetts, I run into the lieutenant governor and say, "Hey, I've been trying to get a hold of the governor. Can you, give her a message?" "Oh, yeah. Well, what is that, Jerry? It's 11 months, and if the phone don't ring, it's Maura Healey.
Well, all right, before we let you go, we got to hear about the cat soup. The cat soup, did you make it yourself, or who was in charge of making cat soup, which was requested by a migrant?
Multiple migrants, Jerry.
Multiple migrants.
As I earlier indicated, they didn't like the food, and maybe if you and I went to Haiti today, maybe we wouldn't like the cuisine that we were given either for free. So I mean, I think it's a legitimate conversation, and I think I'm a legitimately meet you in the middle type of guy. So I sit down and say, hey, listen, why don't you get 5 or 6 representatives and come in, and we'll have a meeting, and we'll talk about maybe menu planning, because like I said, I want to make it the best situation we have. And at first it just turns into, well, you're racist because you don't provide us, sensitive meals, and you don't respect our culture. I'm like, guys, I'm working with, a budget. I don't even make the meals. The staff makes the meals. I don't make the meals. I'm kind of just like the in-between trying to, bridge it together. What do you want? Well, what about cat stew? Excuse me? Like, did you say cat stew? Yeah. In our country, cat stew is very popular. Well, guys, we can't make cat stew here. Well, why not? You said you want to make a menu for us. And I'm like, guys, you're in America. We have cats as pets here. We don't eat cats here. Well, you're being disrespectful. You're not respecting us. So we agreed on a goat that we would not do cat stew, but we would do goat stew. So, the major media owes J.D. Vance an apology because he wasn't wrong.
Wow. That is incredible. I didn't read that in the Boston Globe. Did I miss it?
No, Jerry, you didn't miss it because it doesn't exist.
It's incredible.
It doesn't exist because, like I say, no local media wants to touch this. No local media wants to touch it.
And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I mean, we're still a
Jerry,
sanctuary state.
The stuff I'm talking about is the stuff I can talk about because the main wire was the one who broke all of this. There are other things that I would love to tell you, but I can't.
Well, hopefully we'll soon enough. It's just incredible. And maybe people are waking up. Maybe people will understand the threat we have here, that there are rapists being set free because they're illegal aliens, because they have privilege in the state of Massachusetts, because our system is just so upside down and backwards, because our governor, our mayor have just the most twisted priorities, and they're not protecting their residents. Their citizens. They're prioritizing their undocumented newcomers over their taxpayers. Just madness. But anyway, John Featherston, we appreciate it. Former director of what? Migrant Services?
Mm-hmm. Operations, right? Yep.
Migrant operations.
But Jerry, thank you, and thank you to Newsmax for getting the story out, because the people just need to know. They can make their own decisions afterwards, but the story at least needs to be told. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, John. We appreciate it. That is John Featherston, former director of migrant operations, blowing the whistle on what's going on in Massachusetts. That is just mind-blowing. I heard about it and said, this can't be true. Forget the cat stew. That's bad enough. But the guy who impregnated his daughter was not arrested. He was put in an Uber and transferred to a different shelter. That's what's going on in the sanctuary state of Massachusetts. But we'll be following it because it's going to get worse. They're doubling down. They're ready to go to battle with Tom Homan, and they're gonna do what they do. They're going to protect the worst of the worst: illegal alien criminals, rapists, drug dealers. That's what we do in Massachusetts. We protect these horrible people. All right, we got much more to get to. We got to get to Brad. We got to get to Danny Penny, American hero, and Caitlin Clark. Oh God, I'm so disappointed. Caitlin, no, say it ain't so. We'll tell you what Caitlin Clark, Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, said to Time about her privilege. God help us.
Excuse me.
Do you wake up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, or ringing in your ears from grinding and clenching your teeth at night? I've been through this. It's fairly common, and dentists charge $600 for a bruxism night guard. Many people are now discovering the Brux Night Guard. Unlike regular night guards that go all the way to the back of the teeth, Brux Night Guard only covers the front teeth. This unique design is what sets Brux Night Guard apart from all other guards. It only covers the front teeth, so the bite force is directed away from the back, where many people grind and clench to help reduce jaw pain and still protect the teeth. You mold it at home to the top and bottom teeth. And unlike other guards, it is made in America and uses 2 materials for added durability. Order a Brux Night Guard today and use the code MAX22 to get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to bruxnightguard.com and enter the code word MAX22.
Excuse me.
A large part of managing a business's finances is tedious, repetitive work to ensure accurate bookkeeping. Well, Ramp helps streamline this work, giving business operators more time to focus on what matters most. Are you looking to cut costs and improve your business's bottom line? The best business operators have turned to Ramp to help them stop wasteful spending and improve their finance operations. Ramp is the corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money back in your pocket. With Ramp, spend policies are built into the card so you can prevent wasteful spending before it happens. You can customize spending limits and restrictions so employees are empowered to purchase what your business needs, and you can have peace of mind. Ramp plays the bad cop so you don't have to. Detecting policy violations, chasing missing documentation, requesting repayment, and locking cards of non-compliant employees. Ramp's accounting software automatically collects receipts and categorizes your expenses in real time so you don't have to. Say goodbye to manual expense reports. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Gerry. That's RAMP.com/Gerry. Cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, terms and conditions apply. Get $250 when you join Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Gerry. I'm still struggling, still trying to get my mind around it. Cat stew. They wanted cat stew.
Sounds delicious.
We, the Commonwealth, compromised and made them goat stew. Just as our founding fathers intended, invite illegal aliens into your state, criminals, and cater to their every need. Money, Uber rides, phones, hotel rooms, and goat stew. They're probably still not happy with that. Damn it. They want cat. Why can't they have cat? That's probably next from Massachusetts. Yes, we're just trying to help out those less fortunate. So we're going to make them some cat stew. God help us. Oh, all right, let's get to Danny Penny. American hero Danny Penny. Obviously, the jury did the right thing, and they did it despite the unethical, illegal, unconstitutional efforts of the DA and his prosecutors. As you know, they on Friday dismissed the more serious charge, the manslaughter charge, in hopes of getting a conviction on the lesser charge because they knew the jury was hung on the more serious charge. So they said, that guy, whoever it is, that guy or that woman who was hung on second-degree manslaughter, of course they'll vote to convict on criminally negligent homicide. They did not. They shocked Alvin Bragg and Daphne Yoran, that totally corrupt woman who tried to put this poor man in prison, and the jury did the right thing, set him free. He then went to a bar with his lawyers and had a beer, which really upset a lot of people. Whoopi Goldberg was very upset that Danny Penny celebrated his freedom, that he was happy that he avoided going to prison for stepping up and selflessly protecting vulnerable people on the train. But Penny sits down, and when you hear him, when you see him, it becomes so much more infuriating that the DA, that fat Alvin Bragg, and that loathsome prosecutor Daphne Yoran wanted him behind bars for what he did, for stepping up and protecting women and children on a train. Why did they want him behind bars? Only one reason. He's white. That's all. Nothing else. He's white. They wanted to put the white guy in prison. That's what they called him during the trial. They didn't call him Mr. Penny or Danny or Daniel. They called him the white guy. That's a New York City tried to put him in prison because he's white. And they failed, and thank God they failed. Here's Danny Penny with Judge Janine yesterday.
this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. Mm-hmm. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
Man, he's even more impressive now. It's just a low-key, humble guy. Judge Denny called him Zen. He's a Zen guy. He was trained to do this, to protect people. They used it against him in court because he was a Marine and he was trained. They used that against him. A guy who stepped up, who was in no danger personally, that he's not the kind of guy that Jordan Neely was going to attack. No, Jordan Neely prefers to attack elderly women and elderly men and children. A guy who tried to kidnap a 7-year-old, who again broke the nose of a 7-year-old. He was threatening to do that to the women on the train. And this hero stepped up and they hate him. Ayanna Pressley, Jamal Bowman, they hate him because he's white. That is a real sickness, but thank God that justice prevailed once again. And I hope and I hope they throw out the case. Jordan Neely's father suing him because he misses his son, a son he abandoned to the streets, a son he put in foster care, he didn't give a damn about until he died, and he thought he could make some money. It's so revealing. It's revealing to see the people who are upset about this, upset about a guy, again, protecting people regardless of race. He stepped up and protected them. And by the way, he was helped in restraining Neely by a black guy. Let's not mention that. No, let's not hear about that, Ayanna Pressley, or any of you race haters. Just disgusting. All right. Speaking of race hatred, let's get to Caitlin Clark. I love Caitlin Clark because she's a great player, a very entertaining player. She's just one of the most skilled basketball players you will ever see. If you didn't spend any time watching her, you should. It's a treat. As I've mentioned before, it's like watching Larry Bird. She sees things no other player sees. She's a great shooter and an even better passer, just a spectacular player. She was Rookie of the Year, and it was very controversial because she just changed the game. They had to move their games to bigger arenas. The ratings were off the charts when she played. And the people who benefited, that would be the other players in the league, hated her for it. They were jealous. They were bitter. They still don't like her. She became Time Magazine's, she was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. Well-deserved. I'm cool with that. She did a photo shoot. She looks good. She has really good abs, kind of like Luigi Mangione. Anyway, she does a interview with Time Magazine, and it's just so disappointing. So disappointing. She says, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of the players in the league that have been really good have been black players. The league has been built on them. The more we appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made the league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that." Yes, you've done that. You've changed that by being great. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. Now, she's 22 years old. I understand. She doesn't want to be this lightning rod. She doesn't want to be the white savior, the great white hope. She just wants to play basketball, and she's great at it. But this is disappointing that she even went here. White privilege for a basketball player? How does that work? Did Larry Bird have white privilege, or Rick Barry or Dirk Nowitzki? Did they have Luka Doncic, does he have white privilege? What are they talking about? It's too bad that they bullied her into this position, this silly opinion that she's benefiting from white privilege. Just sad. That's my only reaction. It's sad to see this. It's the opposite. You have to earn everything in basketball. They didn't give her anything because she's white. She's a great, great player. She's better than most of the black players. I'm sorry. She just is. It's an anomaly. Do you have that chart on the number of on the racial breakdown of the WNBA? This is white privilege, apparently, according to many in the media, many at ESPN. Here it is. The numbers in the WNBA. It is 63.8% black, 19% white, 1.4% Hispanic, 1.4% Asian, and 3% unknown. There's white privilege right there. The white girl gets an award, and she has to talk about elevating black players. What? She should have just said, I don't care about race. This is the ultimate meritocracy. It has nothing to do with race. You have to earn everything you get. But no, she knows.
I feel bad. She has to say this kind of stuff so she doesn't get punched in the face every time.
That's true. She'll probably still get punched in the face, as she has many times already. And I hope she continues to just dominate. She's just a pleasure to watch. She's humble, and I guess she doesn't want to continue this narrative that she's lucky because she's white. She just wants to give in. Okay, yeah, she set all kinds of records, triple doubles, assists. She's just a spectacular player and has zero to do with race. And she can't tell the truth. She can't say they're just jealous, but that's the truth. Anyway, congratulations to the athlete of the year. And Angel Reese is pissed, but so what? Caitlin Clark is better than you, Angel. She's much better than you. Sorry. And she's going to get better. As you can tell, she's working hard. She's in great shape. She's going to continue. But anyway, we got to leave it there. Man, I had so much to get to, but we will leave it there for today. And we'll be following all the celebrations of the murder of Brian Thompson. Just sick people out there. But that will do for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks to John Featherston, the whistleblower who told you what's really going on at the migrant shelters in Massachusetts. Hopefully that story will continue. We'll continue to learn more because it's just an incredible scandal. Thanks, Ironhead. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you.
Wow.
All. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many. Thank you.